All right, welcome to part 4. We have one problem to go. It's x plus 1 to the 2/5 power minus 6 times x plus 1 to the 1/5 power plus 5 equals 0. So this is a tough equation. We have an exponent of 2/5 and an exponent of 1/5. So I'm going to show you a strategy here that is going to, you could also use this strategy, by the way, on this problem, but I just think factoring this is easier. But the strategy I'm going to show you could also be used on this problem. Notice the interesting thing going on right here. We have x plus 1 and x plus 1. Here I have 2/5, and here I have 1/5. That's kind of like a quadratic. Because if you think about it, if you think of your typical quadratic, you have x squared plus bx plus c, and you have a square, and you have an x to the 1, and then nothing. And here, if you look, we have a square, a 1, and then nothing. So it would be nice if we could find a way to make it look more like this. And it turns out there is a way to do that. And the piece to look at is the piece in this middle term. That's your clue, because do you see how we just have x right here? This middle term right here is going to be the secret to doing this. Come up with your favorite letter. I'm just going to use A. And I'm going to set it equal to x plus 1 to the 1/5 power. And again, I took that straight from the middle term, x plus 1 to the 1/5. Because here's what this is going to turn into. This would just be minus 6a plus 5 equals 0, because that's a right there based on our substitution. And look at this piece. It's x plus 1 to the 2/5. Well, that's kind of like x plus 1 to the 1/5 squared. That is allowed because we have a power to a power, so that would mean you multiply the powers. So here's the deal. That's actually a squared. That's tricky to see at first, but see that it's true. This was a, so it's just minus 6a plus 5 equals 0. This piece, if a is x plus 1 to the 1/5, you square that to get x plus 1 to the 2/5, and so this whole piece right here is just a squared. And look how much easier this is to solve compared to this. So we're going to solve these for values of a, and then we're going to work this to figure out what the x answers would be. You would do the same thing on this problem, but you would let a equal x squared, because then you would have a squared minus a minus 30 if you let a be x squared. So let's solve this. Luckily it factors to a minus 5, a minus 1, which gives us answers of, flip the signs, 5 and 1. So the answers are 5 and 1, but those are the answers to this equation, not to this equation. So to cross the bridge to get from a back to x, we just use this substitution that we did. So a is equal to x plus 1 to the 5th. So you want to solve 5, replace a with 5. And replace a with 1. If you solve this equation and this equation, you'll get your 2x answers. So how do we get rid of the 1/5? To do that, you take both sides of the equation to the 5th power. So take both sides of the equation, take both sides of the equation to the 5th power. That cancels this. So we have 5 times itself, 5 times. On the calculator, you can do 5, and then I have a YX button that I can click. So 5 to the 5th power is 3,125 equals x plus 1, because the 5th cancels the 5, and then it's just minus 1 minus 1. So 3124 is our first x answer. Let's do the same thing here. We have to the 5th again, so let's take both of these to the 5th power. 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 is just 1. And the 5th cancels the 5, so I get x plus 1 minus 1 minus 1, x equals 0. So those are the solutions, and you should go ahead and check your work, making sure both of those work. Let's go ahead. I know 0 will work because If you do 0 plus 1, that's 1. This is 1. Minus 6 times, this will also be 1. So you get 1 minus 6 plus 5. That equals 0. So if you worked that out more carefully, you would see that that's true. Let's try plugging in 3124. So 3124 plus 1 is 3125. Now let's figure out how to take that to the 5th power. I'm going to do this to the button again. So y to the x. And instead of plugging in 2 over 5, I'm going to put in what the decimal of that would be. And so because 2/5 is equal to 0.4, I'm just going to plug in a 0.4 there. So 3125 to the 0.4, that equals 25. So this piece is 25. Let's plug in 3124 again. 3124 plus 1 is 3125. This time we're taking it to the 1/5 power, so that would be to the 1 over 5 is equal to 0.2. So let's take it to the 0.2, and that's equal to 5. So I have a 6 here, so 5 times 6 is 30. So 25 minus 30 plus 5. 25 minus 30 is negative 5, plus 5 is 0. So both of these work. So this is a pretty tough one. You might want to practice this a few times to get the hang of it. The substitution's the hard part, I think. But remember, this piece right here is kind of a guide as to what the substitution would be, because that is your A part. And then typically this will just be whatever that is squared. So this is kind of rigged so that you can solve it this way, and it's based on the relationship of these exponents. If you change any of these, it would be a lot harder and we'd need a different way of solving it. But we don't need to worry about that for right now. I hope all of that made sense. If you have any questions, leave them in the description. If you enjoyed this video and you're not in my class, please like and subscribe, and I really appreciate it. Have a great day, and I will see you in 1.7. See you there.